All right, everybody, I'm Logan Alec, I'm a CPA, and this is my stimulus update for Tuesday, September 1st. Let's start with this. Yesterday, the Government Accountability Office released its August report on the initial federal response to COVID-19, and it stated that according to a Treasury official, of the $1.6 billion in economic impact payments sent to dead people, nearly 70% have been recovered, but that they were unable to independently verify that amount. Hopefully, we'll see more confirmation of what's going on with that in the GAO's September report. Gallup did a poll that was released today indicating that 7 in 10 Americans would support an additional stimulus check, with 82% of Democrats saying they would support another stimulus check, but only 64% of Republicans and 66% of independents agreeing with such a move. And of those who think an additional stimulus payment is a good idea, 66% said the payment should be $900 or more. This is a little bit confusing to me. Why not put forth $1,200 or more as an option, since that's the actual number being proposed? I'm not sure why Gallup did what it did. Gallup also asked those currently on unemployment, okay, what if the federal government extends the supercharged unemployment benefit to $150 weekly, presumably beyond the Trump memorandum? If this happened, if the federal government extended the enhanced unemployment to $150 weekly, would it be very likely you would return to your old job, or just somewhat likely, or you wouldn't, right? And then they asked the same for $300 a week and $450 a week. No matter the dollar amount, over 80% of those on unemployment said that they would be likely, either very likely or somewhat likely, to return to work at those dollar amounts. Again, I would have liked to see $600 a week here as an option, since that's what it was previously under the CARES Act, and that's what Democrats proposed in the HEROES Act, but maybe Gallup felt it would be too political to ask $600 a week as an option. I'm not sure what's going on there. Anyway, this morning, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was on NBC talking to Kayla Tausche, and he used the words real progress with respect to stimulus negotiations. Meadows said that Trump wants him, Meadows, and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin to get as creative as we can within the confines of the law to put forth as much money to make sure that we keep this economy going, which could possibly mean more executive actions, if not congressional stimulus. Now, Kayla on CNBC asked Meadows about the Democrats' negotiations approach, which has apparently been to say to Republicans, okay, folks, let's agree on a top-line number like $2.2 trillion, and then once we've agreed to a top-line number, we can fill in the details later. Meadows said that he flat-out rejects this approach. He believes that it is backward and not workable. He said that the way to go is bottom-up, right? Say, you know, we want $500 billion here, $300 billion there, rather than just agreeing to some top-line number and then backing into it after the fact. Nevertheless, Meadows said that real progress has been made in discussions with both Republican senators as well as Democrats on Capitol Hill. He did confirm, as we've said previously here on the channel, that aid to state and local government is the biggest sticking point right now between Democrats and Republicans with respect to another stimulus bill. And then Kayla asked him a great question that I don't think has been asked so directly of the Republicans thus far. She directly asked him, okay, Mark, you and the rest of the GOP have said that Pelosi's $900 billion plus almost $1 trillion is too much for state and local aid. Well, all right then, how much is a reasonable number then to you Republicans? Here's the clip.
Well, what is a number on that specific line item that you think the president would get on board with that could also secure the Republican votes in the Senate to pass? Is there a number that you're discussing behind closed doors?
Well, we actually have talked about giving great flexibility for the $150 billion that was allocated in the previous CARES Act, in addition to another $150 billion that would go there, which would overall give $300 billion in terms of flexibility and additional funds to state and local, which should represent the actual loss that we see. If you take the GDP reduction that we've experienced over the last quarter and based on projections now, that should indicate about a $275 billion loss in revenues. That's what we're trying to address. And I'm willing to look at the facts. Secretary Mnuchin has been very clear that he's willing to look at the facts. And right now, it doesn't need to be a bailout as much as it is just an additional help to provide some stability to those local governments that have lost revenue during this unprecedented time. That being said, we're making real progress with some of the Democrats on Capitol Hill. They've had some very thoughtful recommendations that we've actually been able to have real discussions behind closed doors. And I think as Leader McConnell and Senator Barrasso have mentioned, the Senate Republicans will be returning. They've been working around the clock each and every day. We have a call to talk about where we can find consensus there. I expect them to pass a bill or at least put forth a bill in hopes of getting to that 60-vote threshold sometime next week.
So what Meadows is saying is that Republicans are willing to give states another $150 billion in fresh funding plus flexibility in how they use the $150 billion coronavirus relief fund that was allocated to the various states through the CARES Act. Wait just a minute, though. Republicans in Trump's memorandum on unemployment, they're also expecting states to use any remaining funds in the $150 billion coronavirus relief fund to pay out that extra $100 weekly in unemployment, and several states have said, we don't have it, boss. So Meadows is saying $300 billion, but really it's only $150 billion in new money with additional flexibility in how states are using the $150 billion coronavirus relief fund money. Meadows said that this figure better represents the actual reality of the revenue loss that states are suffering according to Republicans' math, backing into it based on GDP loss. I mentioned this yesterday, that I thought this is exactly what the Republican strategy would be. And there at the end there, Meadows said that he expects Senate Republicans to officially put forth, if not pass, their stimulus bill, probably referring to their skinny bill, next week. Mnuchin said the same thing yesterday. He said hopefully Mitch, referring of course to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, will enter new legislation next week. And Meadows and Mnuchin had a conference call with Senate Republicans this morning, as is their custom. And this morning, Senate Republican Conference Chairman John Barrasso of Wyoming said the goal is, in fact, for the Senate to vote on the Republican skinny bill next week when the Senate is back in D.C. He said, we have a focused, targeted solution that we hope that the House would pass and the House would agree to. These hopes are misguided. Obviously, the House will not consent to a skinny bill that, based on the drafts we've seen and reports in the media, appeared to be in the ballpark of $500 billion. That's $500 billion, folks. Woefully low in the eyes of Democrats. It's just a messaging bill like the Democrats' HEROES Act, so Republicans can say they're doing something. So bottom line is this. Neither party has given up on stimulus and stimulus negotiations. Okay, that's the positive outlook here. Now, is the outlook super great right now? No. But the notion of another stimulus bill remains clearly top of mind for people like Trump and Pelosi and Mitch and Mnuchin and Meadows. Secretary Mnuchin does have his hearing today in the House about stimulus relief. But now let's talk briefly about state stimulus relief. So last night, shortly before midnight in my home state of California, Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law an eviction moratorium that takes effect immediately. I expect that if a true federal eviction moratorium is not agreed to soon, it's not extended, that we will see more and more of these responses from the states. Let's move on to unemployment. Yesterday, North Dakota was approved for the FEMA grant, bringing the number of approved states to 41. Nebraska has still not budged, with Republican Governor Pete Ricketts stating yesterday that he is still doing his analysis on whether or not it's the right move for the state to apply for the FEMA grant. All right, everybody, that is my stimulus and unemployment update for this morning. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found value in it, please hit that like button below. Give me a big old thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.